Our subject in our final week in which we'll have lecture material is film genres. We're learning about film genres in our last couple of weeks of class. And the term genre, or the word genre, means type or kind. It's a French word, as you've no doubt gathered over the course of the semester. A great many of the critical terms related to film studies come from French, and genre is one of those, and simply means type or kind. So a film genre is a type of movie or a kind of movie that we can classify by a variety of different characteristics that films of that type or films of that kind have got. The idea of genres in art are not something that is unique to film. The idea that an art form has a variety of different genres or types of material or content that are found in them predates film, and is one of these ideas like some of those related to form and related to narrative that we've been studying over the course of the semester that have a broader context than just applying to film. And there are genres of painting, there are genres of sculpture and genres of literature, and especially in the case of literature, some of those genres are the same. Some of the genres of literature, of written literature, were those that became genres of film as well. Things like historical drama and Western and romance. These are all, or were all, genres of literature that predated film and which became genres of film when stories from those genres, novels or short stories, were adapted into films in the early part of film history. Whatever art form that you're talking about, when you're talking about a genre of art, there are certain elements or characteristics that we expect to find in an artwork from that genre. So, in a landscape painting, for instance, there are certain things that we expect to see in a painting that fits into the genre of landscape painting. Same thing with the genre of portrait painting. Same thing with various genres of literature, both those that were transferred to film and became film genres and those that weren't. And so a lot of what you're reading about this week and learning about this week in connection with film genres is what sorts of elements or characteristics do we expect from particular genres, and just from genres in general in art. One of the things that characterizes, now in particular in regards to film, one of the things that characterizes genres and has made them very popular both on the part of filmmakers and film studios as well as audiences is that because certain elements or characteristics are expected, it makes it very easy to make films in a particular genre, and it makes it very easy for audiences to enjoy films of particular genres. If a filmmaker is going to make a Western movie, there is a pretty pretty well set or pretty established set of elements in terms of the types of characters, in terms of the types of elements of mise en scène, in terms of setting and costumes and so forth, that the studio or the filmmakers know that they're going to have to incorporate into the film, and that audiences then know that they are going to see in a movie of that particular genre. So for studios, going all the way back to the very earliest periods of film history, the ability to make films in particular genres meant that it was very easy to assemble all of these elements, sort of check off the boxes almost to a certain extent in terms of incorporating the different elements of a genre into a film of that genre. And I have here that it meant slash mean easy assembly because it still means that. For studios and for filmmakers, even today, um, in some ways, in some genres, more than ever today, this is something that they take advantage of in creating films of different genres. For audiences, again, both in the past and in the present, genres meant or mean relatively low demands for enjoying the films from that particular genre, provided that an individual audience member does in fact enjoy the films of a particular genre. And of course, every individual film viewer has different tastes. But if an audience member likes, say, musical films as a genre of films, then chances are they're going to at least find some enjoyment or a sort of a minimum level of appreciation in just about any movie from the musical genre then. For filmmakers specifically, screenwriters and producers, and especially directors, the ability to make films in particular genres meant in the past, over the course of film history, and means still today, that they have the possibility to explore thematic material in sometimes a very powerful way. Because many of the elements in a particular film genre, like, say, the Western or the science fiction film, are pretty well set in terms of the types of characters, mise en scène elements, and narrative elements. And those are things that audiences expect to see. Filmmakers can use those expectations to include that material, but then also sort of manipulate them in a way that allows them to explore themes and sort of slip themes almost under the radar in a way that is a little bit easier and oftentimes more effective than in films that are not from popular genres, or not examples of popular genres. A few of the terms that are related to film genres are what the remainder of this lecture is going to discuss. One of these is generic conventions. Generic here simply means is like an adjective form of genre. So generic conventions meaning the conventions of genres. So every genre has conventions, which are just those stylistic elements that are typically found in a particular genre. So a convention of the Western film is that they are set in the American West, the frontier American West, in roughly the last third of the 19th century, between the end of the Civil War and the 1890s, and set in the American West, which at that time was still a frontier. That is a convention of the Western film. That setting is going to be the setting of a movie that is in that genre. And so there's a whole range of conventions that we find in any particular genre. In musical films, for instance, it is a convention that characters will suddenly break out into song and do that in a way that would be very unrealistic in most types of films, and certainly unrealistic in real life, but we accept it because it is a convention that we have gotten used to when we watch musical films. Generic formulas are narrative elements that are found in a particular genre. So whereas conventions are stylistic elements that we find in a particular genre, formulas are narrative elements. A particular way, a generic formula is a particular way in which the story unfolds or the plot unfolds within that particular genre. And not every film in a genre will follow the same formula, but there are some sort of what you might call tried and true narrative formulas or ordering of narrative elements that are typical to some genres. Such as in, for example, the science fiction genre, there is a generic formula in terms of narrative in which aliens of some kind threaten the Earth or threaten representatives from the Earth if it takes place in space, and then the these characters have to defend the Earth against these aliens and and sort of bring things back, defeat the villains, so to speak, in the form of the aliens that are attacking. That is a narrative formula that is found in some films in the science fiction genre. And many particular genres have their own narrative formulas as far as the way in which the stories unfold or can unfold in films of that genre. We as viewers have generic expectations, and this is just sort of the combination of all of these things, the conventions and the formulas that we as viewers have for that particular genre. When we watch a Western movie, or if we're about to watch a Western movie, we expect that in a Western we are going to see particular conventions in terms of stylistic elements that are going to be used, such as, for example, characters wearing cowboy hats and the sorts of costumes that accompany those. And we expect that we are going to have narrative elements or formulaic elements in a Western movie that are common to that genre as well. There's a couple of ways in which particular film genres can be divided or combined, and the first of these is a subgenre. Uh, a subgenre, as the prefix sub attached to the front of genre indicates, is a more specific variation of a genre. So there is the genre of the musical film, and then there is the subgenre of what was called the backstage musical. This is a more specific version or a more specific variation of the musical film, in which the narrative events or narrative elements of the film take place amongst the backstage activities of a group of characters who are putting on a play or a musical show of some kind. So it's still a musical, but it's a more specific variation of the musical genre that is subordinate to the overall genre of the musical. Another of these is what's called the hybrid genre. The hybrid genre. Now, the term hybrid, or the idea of a hybrid, as you probably are aware, is two things that are sort of combined with one another. And so a hybrid genre is where two different genres are combined, or significant elements of two different genres are combined in a single film. So you might have a musical western, a film that has elements of both the western and of the musical. Or you might have a romantic comedy. Now, that example, specifically a romantic comedy, is sometimes considered a subgenre of comedy, or it can also be considered a hybrid genre of romance films and comedy films. And so there's a whole different variety of both subgenres as well as hybrid genres that you can find when it comes to talking about genres in film.